What if I told you nothing around you is real? Not the chair you're sitting on, not the air you're breathing, not even your own thoughts. For a moment, close your eyes. Try to remember something from yesterday, maybe a conversation you had or what you ate for breakfast. Now ask yourself, are you sure that actually happened? Or is it just something your mind constructed? Because here's the terrifying truth. Your brain doesn't record reality like a camera. It fabricates it. And if your memories are just reconstructions, then how do you know this moment, right now, is any different? What if this is all just a dream? For centuries, some of the greatest minds in history have been haunted by this very question. Philosophers, scientists, even world-renowned physicists. But recently, something has changed. New scientific discoveries are shaking the very foundations of reality. And some researchers are starting to believe something truly disturbing, that we may already be trapped in a dream we can never wake up from. For as long as humans have existed, we've had one terrifying question lurking in the back of our minds. Is this real? Not just in the sense of wondering if our perceptions are accurate, but in a far deeper, more unsettling way. What if everything around us is an illusion? This isn't just a thought experiment. Some of the greatest minds in history were haunted by this exact fear, and many of them came to an alarming conclusion. We might be living in a dream. More than 2,000 years ago, the Chinese philosopher Chuang Tzu told a story that would echo through time. One night, he had a dream. In that dream, he wasn't a man. He was a butterfly. He could feel the wind beneath his wings. He could taste the sweetness of the air. He was free, soaring through the sky, knowing nothing of his human existence. And then, suddenly, he woke up. He sat in bed, staring at his hands. And then a single terrifying thought struck him. What if I was never Chuang Tzu? What if I have always been a butterfly, dreaming that I am a man? It wasn't just a metaphor, it was a nightmare. And the more he thought about it, the worse it got. Because how do you prove you're not dreaming right now? Think about it. Everything you've ever known, every face you've seen, every moment you've lived, exists only in your mind. How do you know any of it is real? How do you know you're not still asleep? And here's where it gets worse. Fast forward a few hundred years. The great philosopher Plato had an even darker vision. He imagined a group of people chained inside a cave from birth. They had never seen the real world. All they knew were shadows, shapes cast on the cave walls by things moving outside. To them, those shadows were reality. They had no idea there was anything beyond the cave. But then one prisoner broke free. He stepped outside for the first time, and what he saw shattered his mind. The world outside was nothing like what he had known. The shadows on the wall had been a lie. He ran back inside to tell the others the truth. But they didn't believe him. They thought he had gone insane. And here's where Plato's story gets terrifying. What if we are the prisoners? What if everything we see, our lives, our universe, is just shadows on a wall? And even worse, what if there's no way out? Now let's go even deeper, because there's an ancient belief that takes this nightmare to its ultimate conclusion. Hindu philosophy calls it Maya. The idea that everything is an illusion, not just dreams, not just thoughts. Reality itself, according to the Vedantic texts, our world is like a cosmic dream, woven by an unseen force. We think we're making choices. We think we're in control, but we're not. We are like characters inside a dream, moving through a story that we did not write. And here's the most terrifying part. Even if you realize this is all an illusion, you still can't escape. Because the very thing you call yourself, your memories, your personality, your thoughts, might also be part of the dream. For thousands of years, these ideas were just philosophy. But now, in the 21st century, science is starting to prove them right. And what researchers have found is beyond disturbing. Neuroscientists have discovered that your brain doesn't record reality like a camera. Instead, it reconstructs it, moment by moment, using guesses, assumptions, and fragmented memories. In other words, your brain doesn't show you the world as it is. It shows you a simulation, a hallucination, a dream. And here's where it gets really scary. If your brain can fabricate reality while you're awake, how do you know it ever stops? In 2019, a team of neuroscientists conducted an experiment that sent shockwaves through the scientific community. They placed volunteers into lucid dreams, where the person is aware they're dreaming, and monitored their brain activity. And what they found was terrifying. The brain waves of dreaming subjects were almost identical to those of people who were awake. This means your brain can create a perfect simulation of reality, and you'd never know the difference. Think about what that means. Right now, you could be inside a dream, and your brain would still convince you that this is real. So now let me ask you again. Are you sure you're awake? Are you sure your memories are real? Because if this really is a dream, how do you wake up? And what happens if you never do? For centuries, science was built on one fundamental assumption: reality is real. The physical world exists independently of us. What we see, hear, and touch is actually there. But then, something happened. A series of disturbing discoveries shattered that belief. And suddenly, the greatest scientific minds on the planet began asking a question they were once too afraid to consider. What if none of this is real? What if we are inside a fabricated reality? A dream, a simulation, an illusion? And worse, what if we can never wake up? At the start of the 20th century, physicists made a horrifying discovery. When they zoomed in on the smallest building blocks of reality, atoms and subatomic particles, they found something impossible. These particles didn't behave like solid objects. They behaved like ghosts. They could be in two places at once. They could teleport from one location to another. And most disturbingly, they only existed when they were being observed. This meant that reality itself was dependent on observation. Think about what that means. If no one is watching, does reality still exist? And if it doesn't, are we inside a dream? Then things got even stranger. Physicist James Gates Jr. discovered something unexplainable inside the equations of reality. When he studied the fundamental laws of physics, he found computer code embedded inside them. Not just any code, error-correcting code, the exact kind used in web browsers and artificial intelligence. This was impossible, unless reality itself is programmed. If that's true, then we are not in a physical world. We are inside something else, a dream, a simulation, a construct. And if that's true, who or what created it? Now, let's talk about something even more disturbing. Many people claim to have memories that don't match reality. This is known as the Mandela effect, a phenomenon where large groups of people remember the same thing. But reality says they're wrong. Some examples. Many remember the Berenstain Bears, but it's actually Berenstain Bears. People recall Monopoly's mascot wearing a monocle, but he never did. Some distinctly remember the death of Nelson Mandela in the 1980s, but history says he died in 2013. These aren't just small mistakes. They suggest that reality isn't fixed, that something is altering it, changing details as if we were inside a malfunctioning dream. If we are in a dream, are these glitches in the illusion? Let's go even deeper. Many people who have had near-death experiences describe something chillingly similar. They say that when they were about to die, they felt the world around them fading. Not like drifting into unconsciousness, but as if reality itself was shutting down. They describe a sudden feeling of artificiality, a voice or presence telling them this isn't real, a sense of waking up into something bigger, and then they return back to this world. But some say they didn't come back to the same reality. They say something was different, almost as if they had slipped into a slightly different version of the dream. So now, let's face the question scientists don't want to answer. If we are in a dream, how do we wake up? The terrifying answer: we might never be able to. If reality itself is fabricated, then even the thoughts we have about escaping it might be part of the dream. Even the fear you feel right now might not be real. So let me ask you, are you still sure you're awake? Or are you just dreaming that you are? You've had that feeling before. That fleeting, eerie sense that something is off. You walk into a room and forget why you're there. You see a stranger's face and feel like you know them, but you don't. Or maybe you wake up and for a split second you don't remember who you are. That feeling, that moment of disconnection, is what many people describe when they realize reality itself might not be real. It's subtle at first, a whisper at the back of your mind. But once you start seeing the cracks in reality, you can never unsee them. Now let's talk about something even more disturbing. Time isn't real. You feel it passing. You measure it with clocks. But at the fundamental level of physics, time does not exist. Einstein's theory of relativity proved that time is just an illusion, a construct created by the mind. Consider this. Time slows down as you move faster. Time stops inside black holes. At the quantum level, particles exist in a timeless state, moving in ways that break all logic. Now ask yourself, if time isn't real, what does that mean for your memories? Are they actually in the past? Or are they just part of the dream? What if time only exists because you expect it to? And if that's true, who or what is making you expect it? Now, let's dive into one of the strangest experiences known to the human mind. Déjà vu, the sudden feeling that you've experienced this exact moment before. Science struggles to explain it. Some say it's a glitch in memory, a misfire in the brain. But what if déjà vu is something else? What if it's evidence that your mind is caught in a loop? Imagine you are trapped inside a program, a dream, or a simulation, and imagine that it keeps resetting. Every time you wake up in the morning, reality loads again. But sometimes, something goes wrong. You catch a brief memory of something that hasn't happened yet, because it already did. What if déjà vu is the moment you glimpse the dream's repetition? What if you are living the same existence over and over again, and you can never escape? Now, here's where things get even darker. Have you ever had a dream where you woke up, but you were still dreaming? This is called a false awakening, a terrifying experience where your mind tricks you into thinking you've returned to reality, but you haven't. People who experience this often say they wake up in their bedroom, but something feels off. Lights don't work correctly. Objects change when they look away. They try to wake up again, and it happens over and over. Now, here's the terrifying part. What if this is already happening to you? What if every time you wake up in the morning, you are just waking up into another layer of the dream? If that's true, how deep does the dream go? And will you ever find the real world? Here's something you may not have thought about before. There is a strange psychological phenomenon called the uncanny valley. It refers to the feeling of deep discomfort we experience when something looks almost real, but not quite. For example, human-like robots that move slightly unnaturally. CGI characters that look just a little off. Dolls or mannequins that feel too lifelike. The uncanny valley terrifies us, But why? Why would our brains be wired to fear something that looks almost real? Unless we have seen something like this before. What if, at some level, we recognize that our own reality is just slightly off? That the world around us is not quite as real as it should be? What if the uncanny valley is our mind's way of warning us that we are living inside an illusion? Now, let's confront the most terrifying truth of all. If you were trapped in a dream, how would you ever know? Think about it. Every test you could perform, every scientific experiment, every philosophical argument, every logical proof could be part of the illusion itself, even right now. As you listen to this, asking yourself, could I really be inside a dream? That thought, too, might be part of the dream. So let me ask you, are you awake right now? Or are you just dreaming that you are awake? Let's assume something truly terrifying for a moment. You are dreaming right now. Everything around you, this screen, the world, your memories, isn't real. But here's the real horror. You might never wake up. Imagine you're trapped in a lucid dream, fully aware, but unable to escape. Every time you think you've woken up, it's just another layer of the illusion. You try pinching yourself. It feels real. You try counting your fingers. It looks normal. You try screaming for help, but no one hears you because no one is there. What if you have already tried to wake up thousands of times, and each time you were tricked into thinking you were back in reality? How do you know this moment right now is any different? Now let's go even deeper. You assume that other people are real, just like you. But what if they're not? What if they are just empty vessels, scripted characters, non-playable entities, designed to fill in the illusion? This idea is known as the NPC theory. Have you ever looked into someone's eyes and felt nothing? Have you ever spoken to someone and thought, they don't seem real? Have you ever wondered, is everyone around me just part of the dream? If this world is just a dream, then maybe you are the only real consciousness here. And if that's true, who is dreaming you? Every dream has a dreamer. So if this reality is a dream, who is dreaming it? There are only three possibilities. 1, you are the dreamer. 2, something else is dreaming you. 3, there is no dreamer, just the dream itself. The first possibility means you have created this world unknowingly. But if you created it, why don't you remember? The second possibility is far more terrifying. What if something else, something vast, alien, and unknowable, has trapped you here? What if this dream is not yours, but theirs? And the third possibility, that's the most disturbing of all. What if this dream has no dreamer? What if there is no escape? Because there was never anything outside the dream. If you were trapped in a dream, how would you wake up? You might try. Jumping off a building, hoping to jolt awake. Looking for messages hidden in the dream world. Finding someone who knows the truth. But what if none of it worked? What if the dream was so perfectly designed that every attempt at escape led you deeper? Every time you figured it out, reality just rearranged itself to keep you inside. You would never know the difference. And maybe that's already happening. Now, let's do something radical. Let's assume right now you just woke up. Everything before this moment was a dream. And now, at this very second, you are experiencing reality for the first time. Does it feel different? Or does it feel the same? If it feels the same, then maybe you're still inside, and maybe you will never truly wake up. So now we reach the final horrifying question. What if there is no escape? Because there is no real world to wake up to. What if the moment you think you've figured it out, the dream just resets? What if, right now, reality is rearranging itself to make you forget? and in 5 minutes you will go back to living your life, never realizing you were trapped all along. So tell me, are you still dreaming, or have you finally woken up?